Welcome back to part 2 of my demonstration video for DCS. In part 1, I demonstrated how I use the HARM using target of opportunity, or TOO mode, to determine an enemy radar's position and distance, and then get an accurate pre-reef mode shot out to destroy the enemy radar. Today I'm going to continue the attack on the enemy airbase, which I had previously attacked on the seed mission. I will fly a follow-up runway cratering attack in the Strike Eagle, and then I'm back in the Hornet as we conduct a JDAM attack on the bombers parked at the base. The focus of this video is ScratchPad and some mods made for ScratchPad, which make it a must-have for anyone who flies VR in DCS. Some of you may recall an earlier video in which I made use of ScratchPad's dot on the map to properly get waypoints into another great program called The Way. The Way's strength was that it could enter the coordinates for you into the aircraft's navigation system. The Way was made for flat screen use as an external program, so it's not visible in VR, and it was not really easily used to get accurate positioning on the VR map. I recently discovered that someone made a mod for ScratchPad so that it can also enter the coordinates into the aircraft so that everything can be done in VR using a single program. The keyboard mod is also used on this so that we can modify the waypoint details to identify targets, such as in the Strike Eagle and Apache. Well, enough talk already. Let's get going before I run out of this B-roll footage. Okay, so to be able to use this ScratchPad mod package, which Draken35 so kindly put together and shared with us, you need to hop onto the DCS World Forums. I'll provide a link to that in the video description. So you're going to grab this file and download it to a folder on your system, such as I did here. And obviously extract it. It'll create a folder, hop into there. See that README text file? Give it a read. It's important that you read through all these things to understand what it is you're doing. A lot of your questions will be answered. It'll save you a lot of heartache when you're trying to figure out why things aren't working. So again, just kind of scroll through here, give it a read. It touches on all the different aircraft types that it currently supports. I can show you the Strike Eagle and the Hornet because I've been playing around with those and have used this in them. But it also supports the Harrier and Apache, other aircraft as well. So have a look through here. Give it a read. Okay, so you've read that. Now you can see here your DCS saved games folder. Click into there, and there's 2 folders that you need to copy. So we're going to grab those and copy them. And then you're going to navigate to your DCS saved games folder, not the DCS folder. Okay? So this goes through local disk, users, your username, saved games, open DCS, open beta for DCS. And you just come in here and right click, paste. Whoops, paste. And there they go. So it puts, replace the ScratchPad. This is actually the file that gets written to by ScratchPad in DCS. So if you've used DCS recently and you click into here, it would be filled up with a whole bunch of the coordinates. It can be handy because you can actually take that file and save it or rename it 0001 and share it with other people. So that's kind of a neat thing, right? And then you could load those in. So if you're making up a mission, this is a quick way to get that handed out. All right, so anyway, that goes in there. And then there's also in config, the ScratchPad Lua file is in there. So we'll look at that in a minute. One other thing you should do, so that's it. You've installed it, but now you want to configure it, right? So how do I use ScratchPad? We'll go to the original ScratchPad GitHub, and I'll have a link for that as well. Give this a read through. 2 really important things. You want to be able to understand how you toggle ScratchPad on and off. The default is Control-Shift-X. And then there's some other important important stuff. You can use escape to remove the focus within ScratchPad. I usually just click outside of it. Again, I'll show you some of that later. The other settings, so I use that you want to configure is this hotkey to open it and close it, and hotkey to insert coordinates. Now, I haven't actually configured this yet, but I'm going to, because right now I still go and click on the ScratchPad itself, and I'll show you. But all you really need to do is you can open up the ScratchPad config that I showed you, that Lua file, and add this line into it, right? Hotkey insert coordinates, and then figure out what key you want to use for that. Maybe it's Control-Shift-Z or whatever it might be. And then those will be your hotkeys that you use to open a ScratchPad, and then a quick hotkey for inserting stuff. Now, if you once you have those hotkeys, you either need to use something like a Joy-to-Key or Joystick Gremlin to map keyboard presses to joysticks. Use voice attack, where you can use voice commands again to issue keyboard input, or like what I did. I have a Razer Tartarus V2, and that allows me to bind keys, key strokes and various other things to the keys on it, and it's an extremely handy thing to have for VR. I actually strongly recommend it, and I can happily answer questions about that. But anyway, you need some method of easily entering using these shortcuts, right? Okay, so that's it. Once you've done all this, it's installed, it's ready to go. Now we can hop into the aircraft and start using this. Yeah, so this is the Razer Tartarus V2 configuration page that I just wanted to just give a quick overview, because it's actually really handy for something like ScratchPad and in VR in general. So this is the key that I use to open and close the ScratchPad window. I have it configured for a Shift Control X. If I click on that, you can see there's different things that I can enable it to do. There's even mouse functions. So and when you want to change the key, I'm in here and I can press different key functions. There's also just other settings you can do. It's very configurable. It's a really handy tool to have. So this is to open and close ScratchPad. This is to input the waypoint from the F10 map when I'm in ScratchPad. All these other keys do different functions. This is the pilot view in the Strike Eagle. This is the Wizzo view. I use all of these keys here for my kneeboard that opens and closes it. This goes from one tab to another, page forward, page back. And again, these are all configurable, right? These are my weapons views. So when there's weapons in the sky, this will do the weapons view. This is weapons view to target. This is aircraft view external and chase view. All kinds of things you can do, right? So I do suggest giving this a look. Christmas is coming up soon. It might be something nice to find under the tree. So keep that in mind. And if you have any questions about this, certainly feel free to ask. All right, so here we are in the cockpit of the Strike Eagle. Get the aircraft started up. Now what we're going to do is use ScratchPad to enter in a bunch of waypoints. The first thing I'm going to do is bring up the map. And here we are. We zoom out. We want to go up to this point over here. So rather than flying straight, let's throw a bunch of waypoints in. I'm going to fly north, roughly, up to this reservoir. Let's set waypoint, our first waypoint. Let's put it right there. So I'm going to bring up ScratchPad. And bring it down closer. So first thing we want to do is click this, and that will bring up our dot. And that dot is where we're going to be grabbing waypoints from. So let's put it right on that dam. Now you could press this and it'll enter it in, or you can use a hotkey. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is set what my first waypoint is going to be. So I'm going to click this and change that pound sign to 2. Okay, so that will make sure that my first waypoint that the strike eagle enters in is 2. 1 is already entered and you can't change that. So it's important that you do this. If you don't, you're just going to get a bunch of errors on the upfront controller. Okay, so we've got that. We've got our dot where we want our first waypoint. So I'm going to press my hotkey. There we go. Okay, let's go up through the reservoir to the end. Put another waypoint there. Okay. And let's see, where do I want to go? So I kind of want to go along this river here. So from down there, let's put the first one right around here. Okay. And then we'll fly all the way up to here. And then across to there. And down to these guys. Up here. This is that valley where I'm going to make a turn. Come down here. Fly up to this point. And let's see. Runway extends up there, so maybe over to about here. And make this my initial point right past this built up area. And then down here will be my target, which I'll put on the runway at this crossing point. So I'll go ahead and set it. So this is the waypoint which got set. One thing we need to do to set that as a target in the Strike Eagle is we need to put a dot after that pound symbol. So I just click in there, put the cursor there, click the period. Now that puts it in. So that will make this a target. Therefore, this is going to be our IP, initial point. And let's just throw one over here for giggles. Exit up this way, out that valley. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of waypoints entered into ScratchPad. Now we need to get them into the Strike Eagle. So let's go back in. Now you want to click outside of this because this is still in command of the keys. So all I do is I just click somewhere on the map and now I can go ahead and jump in. I'm going to move this back out of the way. Oops. Let's put it back up there. Okay, so on the upfront controller, important that you need to be in menu 1. So just press menu key. So when you can see the low altitude warning and all that stuff, TACAN, you are in menu 1. Now it's as simple as going up here and clicking on load waypoints. When I do that, watch what happens. Oh. Point control keeps grabbing ownership. There we go. And boom. See, now we are entering in waypoints. Or at least ScratchPad is for us. And that's important. While it's doing this, don't click on things in the cockpit. You just sit back, let this all enter in. And once it's done, you can go ahead and start interacting with the cockpit. So if you watch that steer point at 7A right now, once it gets up to the target, you're going to see a dot after the number. Probably like around 11 or 12, something like that, 10 or 11. There we go, 13 dots. See that? That's our target. So 12 is going to be our IP, 13 is our target, and then we'll have 14 afterwards, heading on up that valley. That's it. Okay, so let's have a look on one of our displays here. kind of difficult to see with everything green, but let's zoom in here. So you can see here's where we are. Home plate. This is waypoint 1. You can skip that to waypoint 2 if you want. 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth, all the way around to where you can see the IP with that square, and then the diamond, or sorry, the triangle is our target, and then that last waypoint off to the right. So entered all our waypoints in. It worked like a charm. And now you're ready to go. You start your flying, head along those waypoints, and you'll see I'll do a little fast motion. We'll zip through that valley, come out, roll left, and come in on that target, which is the runway. Today I will be carrying 12 Durandal anti-runway penetration bombs. This is dropped from low altitude with a maximum delivery speed of 630 knots and a minimum release altitude of 200 feet. And it's slowed by a parachute. When the bomb has pitched down to about a 40-degree angle due to the parachute's drag, it fires a rocket booster that accelerates it into the runway surface. The 220-pound primary charge explodes after the weapon has penetrated the concrete, and this drives the secondary charge even deeper. The 33-pound secondary charge then explodes after a 1-second delay. The primary charge creates a 16-foot wide crater, which is about 6 feet deep. The secondary charge displaces the surrounding runway concrete up to 49 feet in diameter, which complicates runway repair, as the repair is no longer as simple as pushing dirt into the crater. They actually have to deal with all of that displaced runway concrete as well. I first learned of the Durandal back in my Falcon 3.0 days, which was a lot of fun. And also, I remember it was in Microprose's F-15 Strike Eagle 3. It sounded like a cool bomb back then, and it was kind of neat to play around with. And I'm happy that I get to use it today in DCS. Look at that, flying in the F-15E Strike Eagle, but with much better resolution than I had back in those days. Actually, one little interesting tidbit is that the Durandal is named after a mythical medieval French sword. Who knew? Alright, so I got a bit of a flight ahead of me. I got to fly along that valley using all those waypoints we entered. So rather than dragging you along for that ride, let's skip ahead to where I'm just coming out of the that valley that goes out towards the water near the built-up region at the airport. We'll see you there. All right, we're coming out of that valley. We'll be making left, following the waypoints which we created and added to the navigation system using ScratchPad with the mod. Got the weapons all ready to go. I'm doing a C-dip. We'll be releasing all 12 Durandals, 500-foot spacing. I'm going to aim to be around 500 to 550 feet. And also keep my speed down around 550 knots. We pass our next waypoint. We're heading towards the initial point, which will allow us to get lined up with the runway. I like to kind of cross the runway at a diagonal, starting from one corner at one end and finishing at the opposite corner on the other. This spreads the damage across the whole width of the runway. Right, let's get lined up. Here we go. I'd say that has some good effects. All right, so we took out the runway. Now we're going to be hopping into the Hornet. We're going to go take out all those bombers parked on the apron. I'll see you there. All right, so we're in the aircraft right now. I'm going to pull up the ScratchPad and let's go have a look at the map. Zoom out and get over to where we want to go. There we go. These are where our targets are. Alright, so on ScratchPad, you're going to have to click this, get the little dot, and that dot is going to be where our coordinates go. So just center it up on each one, and I'm going to press the hotkey I assigned to create a waypoint. There we go, or at least to enter it into ScratchPad. There we go. Eight target points. Easy as can be. Now if I wanted to add in some additional waypoints for navigation or whatever, I could just easily do that now. That's not a problem. It'll enter in all the waypoints that are in ScratchPad once we click on load waypoints. So you just have to remember which ones are which. So what I would do is probably get the your waypoint, your navigation waypoint set up and entered in, and then you can go ahead and get all the targets entered in next. All right. Anyway, so here we are. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we get this into the HSI has to be in precise mode. So data and then precise. Once precise is boxed, you're good to go. Back out to HS. Actually, we can just sit here. Now, the other thing you notice is that we are at waypoint 0. So that's our home base type of thing. You don't want to overwrite that with something, especially far away, because then your the systems are going to complain that you're running low on fuel, because their home fuel is calculated on this waypoint, which is set as our home. So what I like to do is pick something else, either mark points, or I'm going to go up to waypoint 10. There, so waypoint 10 is going to be my first one that gets updated with the targets. All right, so we're in precise. We're at the waypoint we want to start at. So now we just go ahead and find the cursor. There it is. Click on load waypoints and watch the magic happen. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? Nice and fast, and the Hornet just like blips through. All right, and there we are. Half of our targets are entered already. And we're done. Once this one's done, we're all good. Okay. So now we have our targets entered in. The next thing we can do is we can actually close. Oops. I actually accidentally took another waypoint, but we can just close that out, and we're good to go. What I like to do next, if I'm heading towards a known target area and I'm not going to be playing with anything, is to get it entered into the JDAMs. So pick up the JDAM, start that aligning, and I'm going to change each one to target of opportunity. So each station, target of opportunity, step, and then back to station 8. Okay. Let's set the E fuse to instant. All right. So one thing to note: so each station has 2 JDAMs, right? And now we're going to go into the JDAM display and mission. So here we are on station 8. Station 8 has target of opportunity 1 and target of opportunity 2. So each one of those can hold, you can program in different coordinates. So target of opportunity 1 will hold one target coordinates. Target of opportunity 2 will hold another target's coordinates. This lets you select which target the JDAM is going to impact once you release. And we'll get more into that later, but it is an important thing to understand that we want to set on each station 2 separate targets. And so the way to do that is we come down to our HSI and go back down to our starting waypoint, which is waypoint 10. So you can even see here, that's our starting waypoint. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit waypoint designate. And that entered it into target of opportunity 1 for station 8. Now I'm going to go to target of opportunity 2. It's empty. I'm going to step up to waypoint 11. Waypoint designate. There we go. Now we have 2 separate targets for station 8. Step to the next station. See it defaults back down to target of opportunity 1. Increment the waypoint. Waypoint designate. Target of opportunity 2. Increment the waypoint. Waypoint designate. Step to the next station. And come up with a flow like this. So that you don't make mistakes. Step. Increment waypoint. Waypoint designate. Target of opportunity 2. Increment waypoint. Waypoint designate. And we're done. So now when I go back to my step, you're going to see we're back on station 8. So what I like to do now is unbox the target, just so I don't make any mistakes. And then I'm going to come back and step through each station and go back to target of opportunity 1. You don't have to do this, but it's good to have some system that works for you, and that's what works for me. And you'll see more on that later. All right, so we're good to go. Aircraft's ready. We're going to target, and I'm going to get us up to altitude. And show you how the magic starts. Alright, so here we're at 25,000 feet. Let's start getting the aircraft ready for the attack. So we need to get into air-to-ground mode. Let's get master arm hot. E-fuse is all set. Everything's good. We want to go to JDAM display and mission. Actually, before we go to mission, we want to go back out and we want to change the quantity. So we're going to select each station. So when we do a weapons release, it's going to release 1 from each station. We're going to actually drop 4 JDAMs all at once. Return, and now we can go to mission. All right, so everyone's on mission 1. We can step through, back to 8. Everything's on mission 1. So we're good to go. So one thing that's really important to remember is not to do any kind of designation, playing around with the FLIR or anything like that once you have your JDAM set up. If you play with something, you're gonna probably overwrite at least one of the targets. If I were to do a designation now, I would actually overwrite target of opportunity 1 on all 4 stations because I have each one selected. And I know this because actually I've done it before, and even while I was shooting this video in an earlier attempt, I accidentally did that. So it happens. You can go back through and just reprogram everything. That's fine. But just be aware that if you designate anything, you'll overwrite the JDAM. And if you have all 4 stations selected, you're going to overwrite all 4 stations with their target of opportunity set. And you have to go fix it. So one thing you could do is have all the targets set up, like from 10 through to 17, and enter them in once you're on your final leg in, right? You do then have to watch out that you're not losing track of your situational awareness of what's going on around you. But it is something you can do, right? But just for the purposes of this demonstration, it's fun to just throw them all in there. And then we're going to do like 8 JDAMs dropping, and we're going to watch everything just blow up all at the same time. So it's kind of fun. There was actually a video of a JDAM attack on an island that was, I guess, infested, as they put it, with ISIS. And the whole island just basically went up. I think it was like a B-52 did a drop from like, you know, way high up, but it was pretty impressive to watch. All right, so we'll talk again once we reach the maximum range, and we'll walk on into the target. All right, we have arrived at the maximum range for the JDAM. I'm going to push in a little bit closer. It's always good not to drop right at the edge of the maximum range, because your weapons may not have enough energy to push through all the air and reach the target. I think we're good here, so I'm going to press and hold the pickle button, and we're going to release 4 JDAMs. All right, now we need to go to our mission page and step each station to target of opportunity 2. And then back to 8. So we're all at top of opportunity 2, so I'm going to drop 4 more. And now they're all on their way. So I could, if I want, it's safe to bring up the FLIR. Going to want to get below the clouds. You can watch the fireworks from the FLIR. Let's get below these clouds. There we go. Let's go to IR so we can see things a bit better. There we go. All 8 hit. All right, well, that's all she wrote. Thanks for watching. It was a bit of a long video, but I think I demonstrated just how useful ScratchPad plus this mod is for users in VR. You can use a single program to quickly identify waypoints on the map in VR, and those can be used for navigation or for target points, like we did with the Hornet. Having just one program to do all of this makes life a lot easier, and definitely is something I'm going to be using going forward, and I hope it was helpful for you. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed this. Here's closing out with a different view of those Durandals cratering that runway. Take care.